protesters are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
A bit earlier at about 7 a.m., a group from the coast.
Welcome to #PHVote 2013.
Today on Rappler, Malacanang Defense President Aquino's comments comparing China to Hitler-led Germany. The government will use the Malaya power plant for continuous power supply over the summer. And top universities UP and Ateneo moved the start of classes from June to August.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Malacanang says there's no need to defend President Benigno Aquino's comments where he compared China to Hitler-led Germany. In an interview with the New York Times, Aquino called for international support in the Philippines' moves against China's aggressiveness in disputed waters. China claims to have, quote, indisputable sovereignty over the entire South China Sea, which the Philippines calls the West Philippine Sea. In the interview, Aquino compared the Philippine situation to Czechoslovakia's in World War II. Czechoslovakia lost Sudetenland in 1938 to the demands of a much stronger Germany because of what Aquino said was the West's failure to support it. Aquino says the Philippines will not surrender its territory to China. Responding to the comments, the Chinese press called Aquino amateurish, and ignorant. On Thursday, Communications Secretary Sony says the president has the right to express his views, but he did not mean to offend China. As the weather heats up, the government says it will use a state-owned power plant to make sure there's enough power supply. This comes after the Manila Electric Company, or Meralco, warned the power supply may be affected if the temporary restraining order on its controversial price hike isn't lifted. On Thursday, Communications Secretary Sony says the government will run the Malaya power plant to boost supply during the summer. Energy officials earlier faced criticism for failing to use the plant. If it had been used, senators said the power shortage in November to December that led to the rate hike could have been prevented. Two top Philippine universities will move the start of classes from June to August. All campuses of the University of the Philippines system, except for UP Diliman, are covered by the shift. This will be implemented in academic year 2014 to 2015. The Philippine Collegian reports Diliman is not adopting the shift because various sectors within the campus oppose the move. A public consultation on the issue will be held on February 10. Diliman may still adopt the new calendar pending these consultations. Earlier Thursday, Ateneo de Manila University announced it will start its school year in August, starting 2015. The change applies to Ateneo's undergraduate and graduate schools. In a statement, the university says the shift will align its schedule to its current university partners overseas. Three other universities, the De La Salle University, the University of Santo Tomas, and Adamson University, are considering changing their school calendars to become more globally competitive. The issue is also tied to the upcoming regional integration of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in 2015. For our social media post of the day, the shift in the academic calendar sets netizens abuzz. There's a mix of reactions, some for, some against, and some still undecided. Ophelia is all for it and says, I've been waiting for this. It's high time that the Philippines should catch up with the rest of the world, not only in quality of education, but in synchronized opening of classes and vacation. But at Blue Psych 1721 says, not feasible. The only summer dry months we have are April to May. We can't let students suffer in the relentless heat. At Dare Hunter is weighing the pros and cons, says, either we suffer from excessive rain or excessive heat. The only question is, where do we want to suffer less? Congressional leaders commit to pass by 2014 the Bangsamoro Basic Law, which will provide the legal framework for the Bangsamoro political entity that will replace the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao. Crafting the law is the next step in the peace process between the government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or MILF, after both sides signed the last annex of the framework agreement last month. MILF Chief Negotiator Mohagere Iqbal says the Commission aims to submit the first draft by March 31. Senate President Franklin Drilon and House Speaker Sonny Belmonte agreed to pass the law by the end of 2014. Drilon says, We want to see 2015 as the year we can submit this for ratification by the areas covered by the Bangsamoro Basic Law. 3 months after Super Typhoon Yolanda, or Haiyan, ravaged the Visayas, an international development group says coconut farmers and fishermen are left out of recovery efforts. The typhoon destroyed more than 33 million coconut trees and more than 30,000 boats, leaving farmers and fishermen with no source of income and forcing them to depend on food and cash from the government. Advocacy group Oxfam says the Philippine government is slow in delivering agricultural and reconstruction support. Public Works Secretary Rogelio Singson says the contractors of substandard bunkhouses for Yolanda survivors asked the government to pay them even a fraction of the bunkhouse's cost. The government hasn't paid the contractors for building bunkhouses that fall below international standards. Singson says the government is studying the appeal and adds some of the contractors are, quote, already correcting the deficiencies. But Rehabilitation Secretary Ping Lacson wants to run after the contractors. He also wants the Senate to amend a law that these contractors supposedly use as an excuse. Crowdsourcing Week founder Epi Ludwig Nakaj says there is power in collaboration. He says crowdsourcing is where social media turns into social productivity. Founded in Singapore, Crowdsourcing Week is a summit that explores the effects of a collaborative society and how technology can alter the way businesses work. Nakaj says Asia as a whole is still an untapped market for proper crowdsourcing.
Asia is very risk adverse, right? They don't want to take some big risks. They want to see like if the concept works, and then they try to adopt it. But I think the future is in Asia. And I think the reason why the future is in Asia is because the internet population that is growing and the connectivity and everything.
Nakaj says crowdsourcing is a tool that spurs innovation in established organizations and governments. He cites Philippine Senator T.G. Gingona and his proposed crowdsourcing bill as an example.
This means that they have to understand that the big change that's coming, that those days of the hierarchy and the triangle, it doesn't work anymore. It's about people. The crowd are the companies. What's most important for the decision makers and the businesses to understand is that you can do a lot more on internet, because today internet is about participation.
Nakaj also says the power of media is not curtailed by the government, but by the collective power of the consumers.
I think the biggest failure that the media exactly is they fail to understand is that they think they're being disrupted by you. As a matter of fact, they're not. They're being disrupted by each one of us. We are a media entity on our own.
Yeah. For all of crowdsourcing's potential, Nakaj says it's not without risks.
Dangers are, there's a dark internet out there too. There's also dangers of the cybercrime,
right,
which lots of people are not aware of it. I think that's the biggest danger that we're going to see. So the next challenge that's going to be that cybercrime that we're going to see. There's no longer crime with the pistolets anymore.
Interesting. In its first quarterly earnings report as a public company, Twitter reports a better than expected amount of $242.6 million, but the number of users signing up for the popular social network disappoints analysts. The average number of monthly users climbs to 241 million this quarter, an increase of only 9 million from the previous quarter. Twitter makes money from ads in the form of promoted tweets and timelines, but analysts say it must prove it can sustain a profitable business model. Analyst Nate Elliott adds, if you don't have an engaged user base, you don't have a business. They have got to do better on users. That is the entire story. Sony is selling Vaio. It drastically slashes its full-year earnings forecast, saying it will lose about $1.08 billion as it exits the personal computer business. The Japanese company announces it will sell Vaio to a Japanese investment fund. The announcement reverses Sony's previous outlook, which was for a 30 billion yen net profit in the year to March. The company says the changes in global PC market prompted its decision to concentrate on mobile devices like smartphones and tablets. Sony also says it will cut 5,000 jobs from its workforce, saving more than $1 billion annually through restructuring. The job losses were tied to an overhaul of its television unit, and the sale of its personal computer business. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 8, mobile game Flappy Bird takes the gaming world by storm. It's the unprecedented #1 app in the world at the moment, overtaking other more familiar apps like Snapchat, Skype, and Candy Crush Saga. For some users, it's one among thousands of mindless mobile games, but for others, it's a test of patience and willpower as they navigate a flying bird through a path blocked by obstacles. With over 10 million downloads on the Android platform alone, Flappy Bird has come a long way since its launch in May 2013. At number 9, Russia parades the Olympic torch through host city Sochi Wednesday, 2 days before the official opening of the Winter Games. 7 years after its successful bid to host the Games, organizers are now putting the finishing touches for the opening of the 22nd Winter Olympics. Despite security concerns, Russian President Vladimir Putin says the country is ready to host the biggest event in Russia since the fall of the Soviet Union. And at number 10, fans pay their respects to Oscar-winning actor Philip Seymour Hoffman, leaving roses, photographs, and beer outside the apartment of the actor who died Sunday. The New York Medical Examiner's Office orders more tests Wednesday after autopsy results on Hoffman's body turned out inconclusive. On Tuesday, police investigating Hoffman's death arrest 4 people with more than 350 bags of heroin. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. The play Red is about the highs and lows of being an artist. Gitonji talks to veteran theater actors celebrating the life and times of painter Mark Rothko.
I'm here at the Tanghalang Joseng Batute at the CCP to talk to the director and actors for Red, a play written by John Logan.
My first dealer said he had too many Jewish painters in the book, so Marcus Rothkowitz became Mark Rothko. Now nobody knows I'm a Jew.
Red is the story of Mark Rothko, an abstract expressionist painter portrayed by veteran actor Bart Gingona, who also directs. The play, which debuted in London and moved to Broadway for a limited run, featured Alfred Molina as Rothko and Eddie Redmayne as Ken.
In the painting,
Gingona received critical acclaim at the Aliw Awards for his performance of Rothko. Gingona says this kind of material forces the audience to look beyond the superficial culture we find ourselves in today.
Unfortunately, a lot of what we have now, our culture, television, magazines, they spoon feed us. They show us what's, on the surface, and we've stopped looking beyond the surface. Now, this one is a reminder to the audience that, your life can be richer if you learn how to look. There's a line there when he says, make them look.
Red is the playwright's attempt to understand the American post-war painter's artistry and legacy.
I think I know why you wanted me to read it.
Joaquin Valdez, filmmaker and actor, portrays Mark Rothko's fictional assistant, whose view represents postmodern pop artists. Valdez says working with Gingona was intimidating at first, but turned into a collaboration that felt like a perfect fit.
And when I read for Bart, it was just a nice and a very sensible mixture. When we were exchanging lines, when we were bouncing off through the words, it was just when you feel something and when it tastes good, that's pretty much how the chemistry went down, and it just got better from here on in.
A straight play that delves into the ego and neurosis of an abstract painter. Red is performance art at its finest. Visceral, wonderfully acted, and an intense foray into what ultimately makes us all human. Gitonji, Rappler, Manila.
Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page that crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. These 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on the mood meter. Offhand, you can see right off the top, 8 out of the 10 stories have the same number. Among today's headlines, we saw UP class opening shifts to August in 2014. It's the 2014 to 2015 school year. Interestingly, 34% angry, 42% happy. And earlier today, Ateneo de Manila to start school year in August by 2015. That's again the same 2014 to 2015 school year. 58% happy, 14% amused. Following, and still remains, the story that's gotten the most number of votes in the last 24 hours has been there for the last 2 days. Take a sentimental look back at your Facebook history this week. It's Facebook's 10th anniversary. 73% happy. That green mirroring the mood of the day, last 24 hours. Today, most people are happy. That is Rappler's Newscast for today, Thursday, February 6, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.